Good evening and welcome to the Huddy Hui, episode 11. Now, unfortunately, Salika Wainuiomata is a bit elusive at the moment, so we may or may not have her tonight on the show, but we do have a backup guest. But before we do, rugby round 2 of Swindale Shield happened, and there were some incredible games, including one that we're going to talk about with our guest tonight, which was Wainuiomata against Petone. But yet again, Adam, the referee's whistle has got in the way, and this is pretty much how the crowd were like at the weekend.
It is frustrating when the referees give away a lot of penalties, but you're more inclined and positioned to explain their thinking than I am.
Well, yes, that would be true, Adam. So, but anyway, let's get the show on the road. And tonight is our guest, Jason Love, who has played well over 160 premier matches for the Wainuiomata Rugby Club. Good evening, Jason. Thank you for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight. Tell us about that try at the end of last Saturday's game and the general belief that something like that could happen in a premier game of rugby.
Well, mate, you've always got to play to the last whistle. That's how we always, that's how we've been taught to play. Saturday, bro, that was a freaky try. Like, Ruben called the short kickoff. Everyone knew that the short kickoff was coming so we could contest and probably, hopefully get a tip back. But last minute, he called the long kick. And Trey, he's just a guy that always gives 100, like 100%, whether it's at training or on the field. And as you can see, as the result of that try, you can see there what I'm talking about. He wanted it more. That's what it comes down to sometimes. Who wants it more?
When Ruben decided to kick the ball long, you're watching from the bench. You're an experienced guy. You probably knew what the instructions were, and that was to go short. What was your reaction, given that Ruben's a rookie and you're a senior?
Well, bro, Ruben doesn't act like a rookie. Let's just say that. He doesn't. As soon as he came into the huddle, like a few weeks back, Josh Robertson, who implemented us just to take a deep breath, all as a team. When anything goes, good or bad, just to regroup and just stay grounded. And straight away, Ruben took control of that, as Josh is injured at the moment. Ruben took control of that straight away. And also, one of the other times when we came together and everyone was talking and trying to have their say, Ruben quite politely told everyone to F up and to focus on him. So he is a rookie, but he's also far from a rookie. If you know what I'm saying. From the sideline, seeing that kick long, we were just thinking exactly the same thing what Petone were thinking. It's going to go dead. It's probably going to roll over the dead ball line and, or they're going to put it down. And, we were very, very surprised with that try. I just remember looking around and it was basically pandemonium down there at William Jones.
Have you ever seen scenes like it at William Jones before?
I would say that in 2014, I think we faced MSP in a semi-final to make the final against Huddy Boys, and it was pretty much jubilation like that. But that's because it's such a big game. I wouldn't say that I've seen it round 2. You know what I'm saying? So no, not really, not in the general season, but in the playoffs and all that, I've seen it go pretty wild.
That game in 2014 you referenced was against MSP. They're your opponents this Saturday. What do you expect at Evans Bay Park? And go back to 2014 and recapture that semi-final, because it was memorable for Ross Bond's outburst on the field and the fact that Wainuiomata won so convincingly with an MSP side containing Jeff Tumunga-Allen.
Mate, as I said before, when you're on the field between the lines, it is who wants it more. And I just felt on that day in 2000, field in that semi, probably besides that, Ori's team that we faced, I think it was like a few years before that. And they were stacked with, I don't even know, I think it was about 3 or 4 All Blacks. Maybe we wouldn't have an answer then. But against that MSP side, we were definitely ready for them. And this team that we're going to be facing this weekend, MSP, I'm not sure if they're going to be as stacked as they were in the week just gone. I don't know if are they still going to have Billy Proctor and all that? I'm not sure. But talking about James Proctor though, mate, he's a classy player. I've played a few games with him in Wellington Maldives, and mate, he can play 10, 12, 15, any skilled position basically, and he's going to give you exactly what you need, I feel.
Cool. Jason, I don't know if you're aware, but, that's 10 years since Petone have not won at William Jones Park, which is an incredible statistic. But let's go back to the first round against Tawa. What were the lessons you learned from that game against Tawa, and what did the team change to put in place for the game against Petone?
Yeah, Tawa's a team that if you don't match them, or if you're not coming with the full kitchen sink, then they are definitely coming for your neck. So we just didn't have, maybe it's the gel, or I'm not too sure, but we just didn't have it on that day, and they did. And we had so many opportunities. We had I think we went over the tape. We had about 12 opportunities to score, and every time is there, it's just the last few passes or the last few option taking that was basically all that we did wrong in the game against Tawa. And I think against Petone, if you're from Wainui, or if you're from a hut side and you can't get up for Petone, then I don't think rugby's the game for you, to be honest. Because when we see the villagers coming, we're definitely 1000% ready for them. And as you said before, 10 straight, shut the gate, mate. That's all I have to say. So all the Petone people out there, it's all peace and love once we get off the field. But on that, between the lines, as I said, nah, man, 10 straight. Let's go. Let's go.
Wonderful bravado, Jason. And you come from a family of repute in regards to Wainuiomata and the rugby club. Share with us some of your history in the Wainuiomata Rugby Club and your family.
All right. So it's not only just the rugby club. Shout out to all the Wainuiomata Rugby League boys as well, because all the culture, even though they're two separate codes, we all have a big respect for each other, in that community, and rugby and league have pretty much put Wainuiomata on the map. Because I'd say if there wasn't any sport in Wainui, rugby or league, you wouldn't be hearing about us, So massive respect to both codes. My dad I'd say he played over 100 games league. He played over 100 games rugby for Wainui, so for both codes. So I watched quite a lot of rugby league growing up with my dad. I pretty much missed the time when he was playing rugby. And all I remember is just how staunch Wainuiomata is when it comes to rugby, when it comes to league. At the league halftime, the whole crowd would switch goal lines and they'd walk directly down the middle of the field. And that's regardless of if they're home or away. So if you don't think that's staunch, I don't know what is staunch, man. They might be carrying a few boxes and a few crates. Hey, that's just a part of the culture there. But yeah, also played with my dad as well, Premier. So that was another moment that stuck out for me, is that not many people get to play with their dads, especially at Premier level. So that's definitely something that sticks out for me as well.
You mentioned about the importance of community, particularly Wainuiomata, and without rugby league and rugby union, you said that no one would really probably hear about you. And that's quite an important point you make there, Jason, because Wainuiomata, what do you guys see yourself as a responsibility to the community, and does that come through the idea of being role models?
I honestly do think that it is that. I also coach as well. I've coached for the last 3 years, just junior rugby, and just the way that the kids, like even in the weekend just gone, I coach the under 9s for Wainui. We've got 3 teams, and I'm going to end up being help coaching the rep team as well for the under 9s. And just the way that they look at you when you're on the field and off the field, they truly, I know how much they look up to us, you know. Like I was on the field on Saturday and I seen 2 or 3 of my players from my team, you know, looking at me, and I give them the little look and the little wink, like yo, what's up, man? And they just be like, oh, like he's actually playing on the field. And so like I think giving back is just as important to like, and representing, of course, but giving back is just as important. So yeah, that's what I'll probably be doing after I finish, is probably coaching, that sort of, yeah, go that way.
It seems that people aren't as eager to give back as perhaps they once were. Jason, what do you see as the real challenges moving forward for the Wainuiomata Rugby Club? Before the senior game, Brad and I went and watched the Colts game, and from a Wainuiomata perspective, it wasn't pretty.
Man, what is it? What can we do? I think it's just getting involved, you know, for players that even if they still play now, or even if they've just retired or whatever, it's also, you know, everyone's got their families and their responsibilities first and foremost. So, you know, but we also have to understand that we're bigger than ourselves, that, you know, we can give back to the game. And I think that giving back to the kids is a great start, because that builds a future. If you build up these kids and you put your time into the kids, then eventually they'll flourish and become the players of the future, and hopefully Wainui can hold them, because that's also been one of our biggest downfalls too, is not being able to hold some of the high profile players that we've had. But, you know, in saying that though, we've also changed a bit of that culture as well over the last 10 years, because of us making, you know, Jubilee finals and semi-finals, and also just being in the Jubilee Cup as well. So I think that also gives a stepping stone for people to see that, hey, if these guys can do it, you know, that we can do it too. So yeah, I think that's important.
When did the rugby culture really begin to change? Because I remember when I started reporting the club scene, Wainuiomata was essentially a basket case, and last year's Jubilee Cup final, 1,755 premier games combined, with personalities who have been there a dozen years and one would-be commentator.
That's how did we not win that? Come on. Okay, so I'd say when we were 21s, under 21s, we were the first club, we were the first team, sorry, in the 21s division to make the Division 1 grand final. And the last time that happened, 25 years before that was my dad was a part of that team. So I think it's I don't know, we just had a really good generation of players, and the people who have come up with me, like from the 21s, we all believed. So I think belief goes a long way. Like in my 21s team back then, you know, we had Glenn Angus, Tolma Mir, Ben T. Like we had Eden Monu, we had like so many players that have eventuated Matty Jacobs to be players of the future. So I think I think it was just, we're just really lucky at that time in the last 10 years to have the caliber of players that came through the doors, because if you truly look at them, as you said, by the cap number, like they're pretty extraordinary. And I don't know if we can do that again. You know what I'm saying? We probably can, but it's how much we give back to these kids that are, as I said, that's what's gonna you know, make us rise at the end of the day.
And perhaps the most extraordinary personality in that crew is Ben Tupuola. He was banned from the clubhouse in Wainuiomata, and he came back and he won the Best and Fairest award twice. Capture Ben at 21 and capture Ben now, because that's an extraordinary tribute to the power of club sport, really.
For sure. And it also talks about God as well. Well, when I first met Ben, you know, like, I got all the respect in the world for Ben. He was still trying to find himself, I think. You know, he was from Auckland at the time. He came from Auckland. I think he was maybe a little bit gang affiliated. You know, like, he was real gangster. Like, one time, like, the ref was like sending him off, and then he was like, "Nah, 1 out" to the ref. We were all like, "Oh, like, go get him!" Like, come on, like, it's because he has that passion. You know what I mean? It's just that he needed direction. So as soon as Ben got the direction, as you said, like, 2 times best and fairest, and the direction not only is the team, but it's also the family. He had, like, so much family around him. Like, he had heaps of the Mamia family around him. Also, you know, he's just grown. Like, he's got a wife now, kids, and all of that. It humbles you. You know, like, when we're young, we all are run by our ego and run by instinctual, however we feel at the time. You know, we don't really take anyone else into consideration. And as you get older, you start having family. You learn from coaches, you learn from other people and other players, and then I think that's all he needed was just time. He was raw talent. He was the first, he was the only person out of the 21s to be picked in the Wellington under 21s. Every other player was a premier player. Mm-hmm. So, and he was the only one picked. So that showed you, even back then, with how, you know, hearty he was and stuff like that, he still had the talent. So he was always going to be good. I just don't know how he wasn't a Lion.
Yeah, that's right.
Truthfully.
Yeah. No, he's definitely been Tupawala, one of the great players, and of course, a fantastic story. Jason, you mentioned about yourself being part of the Wellington Māori team. Tell us about your Māori lineage and what that means to you.
Yeah, so I'm Ngāti Porou and Te Atiawa. So my love side, we're from Te Atiawa, so that's like Taranaki area, and we've also got heaps of loves down south as well. So Blenheim and all those type of areas, and my Rogers side, so that's my dad's side, we're Ngāti Porou, so you'll catch us up East Coast. Yeah, my marai's up there and my maunga's up there, Hikurangi. So yeah, it means a lot to me. Like at Silverstream, because shout out to Silverstream, I'm a dually like you two. And I was like one of the only white boys, because I'm Māori though, but you know, like my skin tone is white, so I'll just call myself. But I was the only one that did Māori until 7th form in the whole school. Out of every person in that school, I was the only one that was in that Māori unit. So it means a lot to me. And also, if you didn't know, I was brought up in Otaki. So I had 8 years in Otaki. So I went to St. Peter Chanel. So a lot of the boys that play in the Whiti Te Rā team, they're actually a lot of my friends. And I seen that you guys had Dane Coles on there.
That's right. Yeah, we did.
He was in my Rahui rugby club team, bro, when we were under 13.
Oh,
and
wow.
He played fullback.
Yeah.
And I was his winger.
That's
so
fantastic.
If you didn't know that Dane Coles is a back, Dane Coles is a back. He's just disguised as a hooker, all right?
That's where the pace comes from, isn't it, Adam?
Well, he certainly was a back in that first game against the Blues. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't know about you, Jason, is you have a band that plays around town. It's in the hip-hop genre. Brad knows a lot about it. Now, tell us about your band and how it started and where we can see them perform and what the performing side of your life means for you.
It's just an outlet, you know. Like everyone has an outlet. You guys look at you doing your podcasts, and people like to cook and you know whatever. So when I was young, I used to listen to a lot of hip hop, like especially being from Otaki. So we used to listen to Tupac and a lot of Eminem and all that. So it was just like, it was something that I always had inside of me. I also used to do like theatre in Otaki. So there's a place called Otaki Players. So there they would just do plays like Evita, Mana La Mancha, all these type of plays, and I was like one of the kids that used to sing and dance and all that sort of stuff. And my mum actually was the lead role, so she would get paid to be a leading lady. So I think I got a lot of my performing stuff from my mum, because my dad is tone deaf, flat. Sorry, Dad, to sell you out, but you know. But I met the boys. One of the boys is actually my cousin's son, a son that we never knew about until about 3 years ago, and was like, what the heck? So his name's Awa. He's in the group too, and we just perform with his other two brothers. So one of them is Snow the track god. He produces, he sings, he also raps and that. He's a super talented guy. But you know, in Wellington with music, it's quite tough, you know, because it's just the area. It's like a place where everyone is like quite, I don't know, just they don't believe in our music down here. I think that may be the case there. But if you think about the area of Wellington, there's awesome places to perform, and then there's an awesome nightlife there. So you know, like that's pretty much the reason why we do it, because we all love it. We have a talent, and we can. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't do music, and that is because they don't have the resources. Like they don't have a beats maker or a computer or you know whatever they don't have. So it's just something that I like to do.
So you're a freestyling rapper. Give us some of your best family-friendly impromptu rapping right now.
Oh yeah, off the top, okay. Just chucking me out there, are you? There's a throat, hey, don't want to go flat and after No, okay. All right, ready?
Nope. Just seems we've lost you there, Jason.
You smash, then you get the stunner. You really want to smoke, then you better get a run it. We ain't playing no games, and I'm chilling with the gunners from the land of the long white cloud. I got the money. Feel me hit hard, dread swaying like I'm Tunner. That's a little baby. That's just a little something I got, please.
Yes.
Oh, that's outstanding, and I won't try that in my next radio broadcast. That's for sure. That will end.
For putting me on the spot there, anyway, man.
Well, you got to be on the spot, Jason. And you were marking a hurricane on the weekend. You've been around 162 games. Tell us about some of the most prominent personalities you've marked, because some of them probably remember you if you rap like that in front of them.
Okay, mate, I have marked the person that put the most fear in my heart. Well, it's not fear because I'm not scared, but you know, like made me think, all right, I better get in there and not let this guy wind up. Goes by the name of Afa Fa'atel, mate. Nickname is the House. Mate, if you don't know him, then you haven't been on the wing before. That guy is a monster.
He got 2 tries in a Jubilee Cup final for Auries against North Sea. Went on and played for North Harbour. He's certainly a formidable unit.
Monster. He's the House. He can have that nickname. That suits him really well. Another good winger. Who else, man? Chase Tiatia. Faced him in the final. Jubilee Cup 2014. Good winger, man. Like out wide, I was marking him really well out wide, but you know, he's such a good player that he just works himself into the game no matter where he shows up, and he just kept coming up on the inside ball, straight off halfback. Yeah, another awesome winger to face. Chase, I'll give him that. What do you guys think of him?
Very good. Good player. I used to coach him at water polo back at Silverstream, but when he was a student there, and pretty much talented sportsman, Chase TSE. I could just give him the ball and say, win us the game, and he'd go win us the game. He's incredible talent.
He scored against every club in 2014 when Hello Boys Maris won the Jubilee Cup. He got a try in the final, which was your fault. And I remember...
No, it wasn't. What's the I'm going to one of the boys. I said, he's gone. I'm going to go to the other guy.
I remember he came off the field. Half the back line had bleached their hair, and his mother was waiting for him on the sideline, and Chase had his hands extended for a hug, and his mother slapped him across the cheek, insisting the haircut be removed. It was very amusing.
Yeah, but did you see his celebration after he scored?
Yes, I did. That was
He done
quite...
the Kamehameha.
Yeah.
Hey, Dragon Ball Z, this person's hand. Oh, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, he's a real colourful personality, Chase. He's done very well for himself. In fact, I think his Chiefs debut was against the British Lions too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Super Rugby debut against the British Lions. There aren't too many players who can say that.
I play with his brother, Cade.
Oh, Cade, yes.
Yeah. So he plays for Wainui as well, and he's also a good player. He's underrated.
Yeah. Cade he was an old boy of St. Bernard's, and of which at St. Bernard's you've got Jorgen, who's playing in the first 15 there at the moment. Of course, they're 2-0 for the season. They're going very well. They put 60 points on Kempity, and then 20 odd on Wairarapa, and no team scored against them yet. So they're going really well, St. Bernard's this year.
Yeah, that's good. Shout out to my brother too. He's one of those guys, like he's quiet, but he's a quiet worker. So all of the stuff that he's been doing, he always asks me for tips and all. And well, I've taken him down to the field a couple of times, and he's coming up. I hope I can play with him one day. If I can stick it out, stick it out, man. I'll be 80 soon.
Well, awesome, Jason. Thank you very much for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight, and fantastic to hear about Wainuiomata, yourself, the importance of community, and all the best for Mara St. Pat's on Saturday.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me, boys. Always a pleasure, and no doubt I'll see you around, eh?
No doubt you will.
Yeah,
Take care,
Jason.
Yeah. See you later, man.
See you later.
Later, bro.
Well, Adam, Jason Love Rogers, pretty much the embodiment of what it means to play for the Wainuiomata Rugby Club, the pride, the passion, but also sense of loyalty to the community.
Precisely. Huge personality in that Wainuiomata team, and that's why I enjoy going there as often as I can. And Jason Love has been around since 2005 in the Premier competition, and he's entertained with his pace, but also his accessibility and flair and generosity off the field. Great to see that he's taking the under-9s to greater heights and helping in a community which isn't always the easiest place to be. So we thank Jason for his time tonight.
Well, Adam, of course, round 2 of Club Rugby was last weekend, and of course we called that game on Te Puka o Te Ika, the Etufano footy show, Wainuiomata versus Petone. And of course, you did a bit of work on the weekend digging up your audio. Tell us about that for that incredible try.
Well, it's one of the most extraordinary things I think anybody at William Jones Park has ever seen. And I've been lucky to be calling radio rugby for the best part of a decade now, and I don't think I've ever lost the plot like I did on Saturday. The call, if you could call it a call, it's more like a scream that sounds like a cat in a blender trying to escape the winning try. But it really was a thrill to describe it with Darren Larson. It was his trophy on the line, and Darren, for some bizarre reason, seemed to think that Ruben Love's kick was planned. Jason Love has clearly verified that it wasn't planned. And I snatched the microphone off Darren at one point and suggested that it wasn't planned, but in fact it was intervention from Harry Houdini. It was a lot of fun. And really, if you have an opportunity to witness the try, do so. It's on the Wainuiomata Instagram feed, and you'll see why everybody is still buzzing over this try and why it's got so much attention, because it really was preposterous.
Oh, it certainly was. And of course, we're heading into round 3, Adam. And of course, this Saturday on Huddy Sports at 2:45, you will hear both Adam and myself call the Northern United versus Wellington Axemen game at Jerry Collins Stadium. Well, who would have thought Norths would have been 0-2 at the start of the season with their stacked team? And they, of course, they did play Mara St. Pat's and OBU, 2 big powerful teams first, but they're going up against the Axemen, who have had 1 win and 1 loss at them.
Well, if North don't win this Saturday, there might be a new 2020 Jubilee Cup champion, because North, by virtue of not winning their first two games and failing to secure any points for that matter, have essentially given the other top four applicants a 10-point head start, and a 15-point head start is almost insurmountable, and history tells us that. North have yet to settle on a forward pack. It's almost like they've got too much choice.
Yeah.
And in the first two games, they've made 5 personnel changes within the forward pack alone. I think North need to very quickly establish what their best team is, stick to that, and with the calibre of players they have out there, surely they will start winning shortly. Certainly they'll have Wellington for size. Wellington not a big team, but very plucky and determined. But will North field a forward pack that allows them to play with cohesion, patience and flair? That's been their problem the first 2 weeks, not to mention the breakdown situation where so much of North's success last year was built around disruption and loose forward effectiveness. The referees have eliminated that from the occasion in the first 2 weeks. So North Wellington has the prospects to be a very juicy game. Wellington had a good win against Avalon in the first round. It was a horrid day. Matt Hudson kicked 4 penalties, and the Wellington team had to work very hard to suppress a determined Johnsonville. And they'll head to Jerry Collins Stadium with a lot of optimism and nothing to lose. No one expects them to win, but it's the Axemen's 150th anniversary.
That's
and they've
right,
got some good players. Isaac Bracewell, the young lock there, Ben Turnock has been really powerful the first couple of games. And Sam Gardner, the flanker, is back. And North's team, in a somewhat vulnerable position at the moment, could be exposed further.
Oh, it certainly could be, Adam. And of course, if you've noticed on Club Rugby this week, there was an article promoting the 150th anniversary of Wellington Axemen, written by the legendary Keith Quinn, Adam.
Fantastic book that the Wellington Football Club have put together. I don't have my copy yet. It's in the post. It's on the way. The book can be ordered for $55. There's instructions on Club Rugby, and it's worth every penny of that $55. It's not one of those drab old club histories that look like a school textbook. This book is over 200 pages long. It's got a photograph on every page. It's got biographies of every black fern, and all black to have represented the Axemen, and there's been 23 of them. So a lot of stories, huge personality in the Wellington Football Club, naturally over 150 years. But Charlie Henderson, who was a great ad man, is referenced. Peter Jack, who many will know from Harrier Athletics, is in the book. And obviously Keith Quinn himself plays a part too. And so Wellington, as the oldest rugby club in New Zealand, with a huge history to share and beautifully presented in this book, which is not only a document for the past, but also an inspiration for the future. This is a club that has a lot to offer the New Zealand community.
Of course, Wellington have fantastic club rooms as well. Lots of history in there, being second oldest rugby club in New Zealand behind Nelson. And of course, unfortunately, COVID-19 has impacted the celebrations, and no doubt they will do some festivities, probably not later this year, but next year. But also Marist St. Pat's was supposed to bring up their anniversary this year, 40 years. And of course, they've put their celebrations back to next year. But they have also got memorabilia as well, such as commemorative jerseys that has the colours of the old clubs that merged together to form Marist St. Pat. So there's definitely a lot of anniversaries out there. Of course, last night, some really big news. It's been speculated for a long time, Adam, but last night it was confirmed that there was going to be the North-South rugby game returning to New Zealand Rugby. And of course, it's going to be played up at Eden Park in Auckland on August the 29th. The last North-South game was in 1995, but prior to that, there was a hiatus where from until 1995, the last North-South game was played in 1986. And of course, the criteria for a player to be selected is based on the first province you played for. Now, of course, just before the show, Adam and I were doing a bit of research on that, and we came up with some rather interesting statistics, Adam.
Well, the criteria is rather sanitised in the state of origin, New South Wales, Queensland. You have to be born in the state that you represent. In the North-South New Zealand match, I suspect that they have adopted the position of the first province you played for, because the South Island may stand no chance of winning. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm a biased North Islander. There is no influence on that position in my thinking whatsoever. I must emphasise this for my friends, especially those in Christchurch. I love you a lot. Now, the All Black team that played England in the World Cup semi-final last year, 17 players would be on the North Island side. There were 14 players born in the North Island, 3 in the Pacific Islands, but on the criteria presented, first province, Sevu Reece, Ofatunga Fasi and Nipo Laulala would be playing for the North Island, because Reece started with Waikato, right. Laulala with Counties, and Tunga Fasi with Auckland. Only 5 South Islanders in the All Blacks team that lost the semi-final to England last year. Still some good players: Joe Moody, Brody Retallick, Richie Moanga, Anton Leonard-Brown, and Patrick Tuipulotu, ironically, the Blues captain. He was born in Christchurch, but the North Island distinctly stronger in terms of origin because of greater numbers than the South Island. The other thing that points to North Island strength in rugby, the National Secondary Schools top 4, no South Island champion since 2006. That's right. And that was Christchurch Boys High School, only 4 in the entire history of the tournament, stretching back to 1982. So North versus South, great idea. And it's interesting that New Zealand rugby is looking to its past to try and promote its fickle present. And that might be a lesson in terms of the way rugby moves forward. People don't want to watch the Sunwolves versus the Hurricanes. They want to watch the North Island against the South Island. They want to watch the Crusaders against the Blues. So although there exists this money out there in TV land, you can't continue to alienate your fans, because the fans will ultimately vanish. And going back 25 years to a concept which is essentially a relic of the past is perhaps an admission that the past has some value when looking to the future.
Very good point there, Adam. And of course, the draw last week came out for the Mitre 10 Cup as well. And of course, we will more than likely have All Blacks playing, because there will be probably no test matches at all this year. But I have some big news for Wellington. If Canterbury hold on to their Shield, Ranfurly Shield, in their first week, Wellington would have a Ranfurly Shield challenge in the third week. About time.
Oh, don't remind me of the Wellington Ranfurly Shield challenge. Seriously. Don't want to go through that torturous experience.
No, we don't want to go through 2001 again, do we, Adam?
All the other 1982, all those 1922, Wellington played Hawke's Bay. The score was 58-8. One of the players complained on the train. The sound of the train rolling down the tracks echoed 58-8, 58-8. That's what he claimed to hear, and I totally believe him. Well, here's a tip for the NPC. If it begins with All Blacks, Manawatu might win it. People might look at me and go, that's absolutely crazy. Manawatu, they last won it in 1970-something. There was an oil crisis or something. Manawatu, with their All Blacks, could potentially have a backline that looks like this: Aaron Smith, Aaron Cruden, Nani Lamapi, Jackson Himopo would be back. They'd possibly Andre Taylor's floating around. He's not an All Black, but he would be in the mix. That Manawatu team with their All Blacks would be incredibly strong.
Oh, they certainly would be, Adam. And that's why we love the local game, club rugby, and also, as it should still be called, the NPC. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the Huddy Hui for tonight. Unfortunately, Salika Wainuiomata could not join us tonight, but hopefully in a few episodes' time we can have her on board. But thank you, as always, for watching us. Thank you, Adam, yet again, for coming on with your wit, wisdom, and statistical knowledge. And that is us for tonight. Ciao for now.
Kia ora.